few weeks ago, I was snooping around in the closet of one of my friends. She lives in a very old black and white house. Initially, I really didn't find anything too interesting. Then on the top of a shoe stack, I saw this box. As you can see, it says, "Do not open this box." So naturally, I had to open it and see what was inside. My friend hadn't noticed it before, so it obviously wasn't important to her. I actually think it was left over from a previous owner. I spent the last few weeks researching the strange objects that I found inside. This right here is an old record made by Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker was actually an African American woman living in the 1900s. She was one of the world's most versatile entertainers. She did work on stage, on screen, and did recordings. She was a civil rights activist because Baker refused to perform for segregated theaters, where the blacks and whites were forced to sit separate. This resistance caught on and forced many theaters to become unsegregated, or they went out of business. Josephine had an amazing life. She did undercover work for the French Renaissance during World War II. She also served as a Red Cross nurse, was an entertainer, a civil rights activist, and even adopted 12 kids from all over the world. She wanted to prove people from different races and religions could live together peacefully and be a family. She called them her Rainbow Tribe. This powerful woman achieved so much in her lifetime. This right here is an old original copy of one of Elizabeth Cady Stanton's many speeches. Elizabeth married abolitionist Henry Brewster Stanton, and as a result, she knew a lot about the legal relationships between men and women. She was one of the first leaders of the American women's rights movement. Elizabeth wrote the Declaration of Sentiments, which articulated the long struggle towards women's rights. She worked closely with Susan B. Anthony. Stanton served as the writer and Anthony as the strategist. Together, they made a great team. They focused on women's suffrage. They won property laws for married women, equal guardianship of children, and liberal divorce laws. These reforms made it possible for women to leave marriages that were abusive of the wife, the children, or the economic health of the family. She died in 1902, just 20 years before the U.S. granted women the right to vote, an objective she fought most of her life. Native Americans commonly use feathers in their hair. Although Russell Means wears his hair in braids, it is still part of his culture, and I'm sure he has a few. The LA Times described Russell Means as the most famous American Indian since Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. He is a natural leader. He has a lot of dedication to his people and has a great sense of pride in his heritage. His vision is for indigenous people to be free. Free to be human, free to travel, free to stop, and free to follow the religion of their fathers. Russell joined the Longest Walk in 1978 to protest a new tide of anti-legislation. This included the forced sterilization of Indian women. He captured national attention when he led a 71-day armed takeover on the sacred grounds of Wounded Knee. As a result of this, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution stating that national policy was to protect the rights of Indians to believe, to express and exercise their traditional religions, including but not limited access to sites, use and possession of sacred objects, and the freedom to worship through ceremonial and traditional rites. Today, he has directed his energy to the entertainment industry. In a very short period of time, he's become immersed in all corners of the business. He has landed lead roles in major films. For example, he was the voice of Pocahontas' father in that Disney movie Pocahontas. He has recorded 2 albums of protest music with lyrics he wrote. He even created his own website dedicated to Indian rights and their heritage. Russell Means is also currently the director of Cleveland's American Indian Center, where he instituted in many important social programs. For example, the Porcupine Health Clinic, which is the first non-government funded clinic in the Native American community. KIKL Radio, which is the first Native American radio station. He is 70 years old and still fighting for the rights of his people. As you can see, all of these three very important people connect because of their work in civil rights, fighting for their race, for their gender, and for their heritage. All of them were passionate about equal rights and fairness for all, and they all achieved so much. They live their life in harmony with their beliefs and become a source of inspiration and positive change in the world. Thank you.